Hi everyone, I'm Shelby with Sisterlocks.
And I'm Lexi with Traditional Locks.
And this is Two Sisters Locked.
Stores are like Chelsea change. Now the lights spread the dimes. Time to spread this, your dreams dance at all. Godly thrones that be dancing so lots. Got a ransom, don't come at all.
So welcome back. It has been a long while, so we're so glad that you came back and stuck around. We have a few more videos coming out this month and over this course of the summer, so definitely make sure you're subscribed, you're liking our videos, you're following us on Instagram, etc.
So today we are going to be talking about... We are going to be busting lock myths. Let's put it that way. We're going to be busting lock myths. There are a lot of things that people think going into getting locks, or maybe there are reasons why they don't want to get locks because of some of these myths. So we are going to state some of these myths and address them and tell you guys why they are myths.
And what we did actually, we posted on our Instagram story and we asked people what are some of the lock myths they've heard or some things they've heard and if they want to get our take on it. And so most of these will have come from our Instagram page. So definitely follow our Instagram page if you want to be involved in our YouTube videos.
At the number 2, Sisters Locks LOCD, the very same name that is here on YouTube.
So let's go ahead and get right into the video. So the first myth that we are going to be discussing is you cannot wash your starter locks. So do you want to start, since we have two different types of locks, I think we both have to address this.
So for traditional locks, that is a myth. You 100% could and you 100% need to wash your locks, because the thing is, you want clean hair, period. Like, regardless of what's going to happen to it, period. Now, I think the reason why a lot of people say you can't wash it is because when you first get starter locks and you wash them, like the first time I washed my hair was like 3 weeks after, they completely unraveled. And so I think one of the reasons why people say that is because they are nervous that like their hair is going to unravel and they feel like the hair should be more locked before you wash it. But in my opinion, that is not a good reason to hold out on washing your hair. You want your hair to be clean, right? So what happened with me is she washed my electrician washed my hair. It unraveled, but thankfully, like, she didn't disrupt the pattern too much. And so she just went ahead and recurled it, and so coiled it. Sorry, I started off with comb coils. So yeah, that is definitely a myth. You definitely need to wash your hair. You just are going to have to be careful and kind of like re-lock the hair. It's a process. It's gonna take a few months, but yeah.
Yeah, and for sister locks, you definitely need to wash your hair, but you have to actually take a lot more steps to prepare your hair to be washed when you have starter locks. And this can go on, honestly, like some people I know do it for a couple to a few years. So what you have to do, it's called braiding and banding. And I'll be doing a video soon on how I do it. I've been meaning to do this for a while, still have not, but I will be doing it. And so basically what you do is you take small sections of your sister locks and you braid it really tightly all the way to the end. And you take like a little, like a, rubber band, like plastic rubber band, and basically you fold the end and you wrap it. And so you end up with like a long braid and like a little, almost like a blunt end that's folded over and banded. And then you wash your hair, you do that all over your head with braids, and then you wash your hair like that. And you should scrub your scalp and everything. And then you let it dry, air dry in the braids or towel dry, whatever. And then when it's fully dry, then you can take out the braids and kind of like separate out at the roots. And that's the only way you should be doing with your sister locks until they're fully locked, because if not, it can cause a lot of slippage at the root, which would mean that your lock tissue would have to do a whole lot of locking when you go in for your retightening. It can also cause like bunching and like other bad things at the ends of your hair. It can cause a lot of issues. So you really need to be braiding and banding until your lock tissue tells you to stop, because if not, it'll be a lot of extra time and a lot of extra money to fix those issues.
Yeah.
Okay, and kind of tying into that one, the second myth was your hair is dirty.
If you don't wash it, yes, it's gonna be dirty. And I think part of why, once again, that's a myth. Maybe there are some people who do not wash their locks often, or maybe, people who say that know of people who haven't washed their hair for months and months at a time, because maybe they're starting off or whatever. But that's obviously not true. If you wash your hair is not gonna be dirty. I mean, I think it's pretty much as simple as that.
Yeah, no, there's not much to say for that. No, locks are not necessarily dirty. Like, people wash their hair, it's fine. The third one is that locks are not versatile.
Yes. That is probably one of the most common things that we hear from people.
Like why they don't want locks.
Right, why they wouldn't. They're like, oh, it looks good on you, but I love to do like a million things with my hair. I personally feel like I can do much more with my hair now than and my hair isn't even that long yet. Like, y'all, when it gets down to like waist length, I will be able to do even more. But even right now, like medium length, I can do much more with my hair than I could as a loose natural, because my hair was so thick that even just to comb anything out, like it was just so much work, and my hair just a lot of times didn't do what I wanted it to do, or maybe it was too big, like too much to do what I want. I mean, having locks, like for me, makes it even more versatile.
Yeah, I would say the same as well. If you've seen my 5 Sisterlocks style videos, 5 Sisterlocks styles video, you'll see like there's like a lot I could do there that I couldn't do many of those styles with my loose hair, because my hair is just so thick that I couldn't do it. Even now I can just pull up my hair into a top bun like really quickly, or pull it down to a bun, or like just do different things that I couldn't do with my loose hair because it was just too thick and too hard to work with. And so I would say for me it's also a lot more versatile. I can also just wake up every day and wear it down, which I couldn't do with my loose hair. And the other thing is you can still, like, I won't probably be doing this, but some people do, like you can still put wigs over your locks, you can still put braids over your locks, you can still do a lot of different things. So I would say that they're actually still very, very versatile, and in my opinion even more so than my loose hair.
And you can also like play with the length, because I think a lot of people are like, oh well, some days I want long hair, some days I want short hair. Well, even when you have long locks, there are a lot of people who do like lock knots and stuff like that, and actually like make their lock, like you can choose like the length and like knot it there, and like people do like bobs and everything, that even though their like locks are all the way like down to their waist or like past their back. So there's so many different things you can do with locks.
Yes, they're very, very versatile. So that's definitely a myth. Another myth is that your hair locks immediately. And what I mean by this, because I hear this often, is that your hair will look like, if you have traditional locks, Ava DuVernay or Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson for Sisterlocks on day 1. I was talking to my loctician, and she was saying that like so many people have been coming in trying to get Sisterlocks since Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson was sworn in, and basically like they're expecting like their hair to look like hers on day 1, like almost like they were going to get like braids like as extensions or something.
Interesting.
And she's like, this is a process, like it'll be years. Like she had her locks for years, like it'll be probably years before yours look like hers. So I think that's another myth. I don't know if you want to speak to that as well.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a myth. I think a lot of people probably do know that there's a process, because you know people talk about that ugly stage, which that's a whole nother issue that we won't get into now. But I think people often don't really understand what the process like looks like and the time that it takes, or maybe they overestimate their patience. Like, you know, we know people who have gotten locks and know that there's like, you know, it takes a process to look how you're, you know, to be mature, but they find themselves still like month 1 or month 2 still like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can do this, like you know. And it's just like, it's a process. So yeah, it's not gonna look like locks when you first get them, probably.
Yeah, and then I think the other thing I would say on that as well is like, even when they do eventually look like locks, it won't look just like how whoever you're looking at locks as your like lock model is going to look. Like, I don't expect mine to look just like Judge Ketanji's like locks. Like, yeah, that's just like unrealistic, because we have different types of hair. Everyone's hair is different. Everyone's hair locks different. We all started with different locticians. Like, so there's just like a lot of things that go into beyond that. So that's definitely a lock myth, that you can like choose how your locks look, or that it'll look like that from the beginning. Like, there's just like so much more that goes into it than like extensions where you like get braids and it just, I mean, it looks like braids, you know. So okay, the other myth we have is that you don't have to do anything to your locks. So like a lot of people know that it's like easier to take care of locks than loose hair, so they might think that like you just have to do nothing, and that's not true. So I don't know if you want to talk a little about your maintenance.
Yeah, routine. So obviously, you know, I do a retwist. I try to do 6 to 8 weeks, but in between retwists, I have to still moisturize my hair. So I moisturize with oil and water. Sometimes I may use, there's a daily moisturizer that I use sometimes because it smells really good. And it makes my locks feel soft. But you can't just like leave your locks just to the wind, because, you know, the air dries it out, and, you know, you can't just go to sleep and like lay around the house and stuff like that, because the lint from like pillows and the couch will get into it. So like, you know, I have to make sure I have my bonnet on, stuff like that. It's definitely minimal maintenance, but it is definitely not, it's not there is maintenance to it. There is maintenance to it. You still have to upkeep them.
Yeah, I will say with I will say with Sisterlocks, it's a little bit, I feel like there's like less animal maintenance. So like you can't really put product on it or like any oils or anything on it. So like there's not as much concern about like having to put moisture on it or something.
Even as they're mature?
Not necessarily, no. Like some people do. Like it just depends. But even so, like it's like a lot less frequent. Like I know some of the people I watch, like they'll do it like they'll like put some oil in their hair right after they wash it, and like that's it until the next time they wash. Like it's just like not as needed, I guess. I don't know, to like put like a lot of stuff in your hair. So like that, there's less of that. But then also when you have Sisterlocks, like your loctician doesn't wash your hair for you usually, like they just retighten. So I have to like do the braiding and banding and washing before I go, which once again, once my locks fully mature, I won't have to do that. But as for now, like that is more maintenance than some people might expect. Even though for me, like when I used to wash my hair before lock, it still took much longer, even with my braiding and banding and everything. So I still think it's worth it. But like that, to some people that might be like, oh, like that's a lot to do every 5 weeks, like having to braid and band, wash, then unbraid and unband before your appointment. So it's definitely not no maintenance, but I do think it's a lot less maintenance. So I personally think it's still worth it. Okay, and so the last myth we'll bust today is that your hair can't get damaged.
Your hair 100% can get damaged. I did color my hair. She bleached it and then added color on that. That was only a couple months ago. So far they look good, but guess what? If I'm being realistic, down the line, I could notice some damage. Damage looks a little bit different in locks than it does for other, for like loose natural hair. So like one way that you might notice your locks get are damaged is like that there may be weak spots in the lock. I had that issue last year about this time. I had that issue with one of my locks and I ended up just having to cut it. So I have one little, oh, it's kind of growing. It's already growing, but I have one little short lock here. You definitely can damage it because of that. Lint damages it because lint gets stuck in the locks and like in the middle of the lock and it makes that part weak. Yeah, locks 100% can get damaged. That's why I say like there is still maintenance, because you don't, locks are something that you want to have for, a lot of years. I plan to kind of have it the rest of my life. I mean, obviously that could change, but I plan to have it a long time. So these are the same locks that I'm going to have. So I'm trying to keep good care of it so that they don't get damaged.
Yeah, and pretty much, same thing with Sisterlocks. Like that's pretty much the only way you could damage it is like, well, first of all, this isn't really damaging your hair, but you can mess up the locks by, once again, not braiding and banding and stuff. But you can damage your hair kind of the same thing. If you're like picking in your hair, then you can make it fall out. Or if you're not, like, if you're pulling on your hair a lot, you can make your edges weaker and actually have locks fall out and stuff. So you just like still want to be careful. It definitely, like, it's not like when you have loose hair, you might put like a lot of heat on your hair, put like chemicals in your hair. Like it's not like that kind of damage, but there are still ways to like lose a lock or like make it like break in half, or you have to cut it out or something like that. Or like if you don't keep up with it consistent like you're supposed to, like going to your loctician, it'll end up like all matted and they like have to like do like serious work to get it all together. So like there definitely are ways to damage your hair, so you should still make sure that you're taking care of your locks like properly based on what your loctician tells you to do.
Yeah, one of the most common ways that locks get damaged is because, like, a lot of people, there are people that don't put color in their hair necessarily, right? But if you retwist too tight, your locks will start thinning at the root because you're kind of pulling up the hair follicles, and then you start losing your ability to grow hair in some areas. So that's probably the most common way to damage is like, a lot of people deal with thinning. That's if you retwist too often and if you twist it too tight. So yeah, you definitely can damage your locks.
Okay, well that's all the myths we have for today. We hope we helped y'all have a better understanding of locks and be able to understand what people are telling you that's true or not true. So yeah, I hope this was helpful.
Yeah. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and on Pinterest.
Pinterest, yeah, we do have Pinterest.
We recently added Pinterest. So please, it's the same name across all platforms. The number 2, Sisters, with an S, Locs, LOCD.
And that's all we have for you today. Be sure to stick around. If you have some extra time, we have a ton of other videos on our channel that you can watch. And then also be sure to come back next time. In a couple of weeks, we'll have a new video coming out as well.
Yeah, make sure to comment below so we can engage with you guys, and have a good... Bye!